Hello everyone, and welcome. I've been getting into coffee for a long time now. I probably started drinking it when I was 16 or 17, and now I'm 25. So I've had a while to go through some different coffee gear, and some of them have lasted year after year after year. So let's take a look at everything I still use today, and everything we'll look at is something I've owned for more than 5 years. First, we have an absolute tank. This is the Hario digital scale with timer. This may be one of my oldest purchases, and it took about 4 years before I had to replace the battery. I've spilled water on it, I've dropped it, and this thing keeps going. There are a few scuff marks on it now, but functionally, there's only one thing wrong with it that I noticed happening about 2 or 3 years in. At some point, when I didn't put anything on the scale and tried to zero it out, it doesn't go to 0, it just goes to some weird number. But as soon as I use a container, it can go to 0. I consider this a very minor thing to have appeared after a few years of use, and I'd almost never use the scale without a container, so it's not really an issue for me. It seems to have gone up in price from when I first bought it around $50, and it's now about $80 on Amazon, but they also have a metal version with a metal top that's about $120. Next is the Bonavita Variable Temperature Control Kettle. I love this kettle so much. You can adjust the temperature within 1 degree increments, it can switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius, and you can even hold the water at your target temperature. It hasn't missed a beat in the years I've used it. Nothing on the display or buttons has been damaged or stopped working. In the early years, I did do a monthly clean with a water and vinegar solution, and this was to descale it from mineral buildup, but honestly, the water in BC is so soft that a few years in, I stopped doing it, and I didn't really notice a difference. One thing I still do though that I think is a factor in its long life is that I wipe the inside dry after every use. This sort of discourages mineral buildup in the first place and keeps your water heating up quickly without any off flavors. The outer metal seems to be the only thing showing any signs of age. It's definitely a little less shiny now, there are a few marks on it, and I even had it next to the stove, so it might have got some oils on it. But it doesn't seem to have changed over the years as far as its simple purpose goes, and that is to hold the water, heat it up, and not affect the flavor. You can get this guy for a reasonable price of around $100 to $140 depending where you buy it, but the price doesn't seem to have changed much over the years. The next item on my bar is great, but it does come with a small warning. This is the Breville Smart Grinder Pro. I'm just going to put this down. It's lasted all this time, it keeps grinding, and Breville makes good equipment. It's sturdy, and they make very clever decisions for the average consumer. My warning, though, is that the longevity of your grinder, and not just Breville, but any grinder, is dependent on 2 major things. The first is your regular care and maintenance of the grinder, and the second is the sharpness of your burrs. So while this grinder can last a long time, as many do, it can all be ruined by improper cleaning or waiting too long to replace the burrs. I had a regular monthly cleaning with this grinder where I used vacuums, brushes, and even in between coffees, I used a special grinding pellet to clean out the coffee oils. This definitely helped it last for a few years, but going into the 2nd and 3rd year, I did notice a decline in the quality of my coffee. It's very likely that the burrs have been getting very dull in the last few years. So just keep in mind that for any good grinders like this one, they might last a long time, but usually the quality will get worse before the machine dies from some other cause. The last couple of things that I wanted to show you are some accessories. I've had this brush forever. It's the Palo Grindminder brush. It comes in at around $20 to $30, which you might think is expensive for a single brush, but it does a really amazing job of keeping your counter clean. It's great at sweeping up those last bits of coffee grinds, and I can't imagine that I'll have to replace it even for another 5 to 10 years. I've also got these coffee cups from Norway, and I won't talk about them too much here as I do have another video where I review them in much more detail. I'll link the video up here so you can take a look. But even for mugs or cups, these things just look so white and so clean, It's like I bought them yesterday. Even the print on the bottom hasn't faded at all. If you really want to get nerdy with your coffee and have fun with some taste perception, get some of these. I know you'll enjoy it. To wrap things up, I think that the lesson I've learned over the years is to find the reputable brands, do your research, and save just a little bit extra money to get that next level of quality. It's the age-old dilemma of buying several cheap things that break quicker or buying the one expensive thing that lasts longer. I'm totally on the side of the one expensive thing, and especially when it comes to coffee, you want that product to produce quality results. Make sure you check new releases though before you go out and buy any of the products that I have here. There's some really cool stuff that's come out over the past few years, and speaking of which, I've got a very cool grinder on pre-order. It's coming in November, so keep your eyes peeled for an unboxing or review video next month. That's it for me today. Please subscribe if you haven't already, as I do release weekly content. And let me know in the comments what your longest lasting coffee gear is. I always love hearing from you guys, and I'll see you again next week. Have a great day.